April 23rd. It is Tuesday, so we are Wuzi Tuesday. Wu Ki said, we're in verse 4 of Choosing Generals. In battle, a major consideration is to locate the enemy commander and make a thorough assessment of his character. If you adapt your strategy depending on the type of enemy you face, you should be able to win the battle without too much effort. If the enemy general is foolish and gullible, he can be tricked and drawn from his position. If he is greedy and an unscrupulous man, he can be bought with gifts. An enemy commander who is unable to adapt his strategy to the circumstances can be worn down gradually. When your enemy is led by rich, boorish commanders and manned by poor, resentful troops of the rank and file, you can exploit these differences. If the enemy is undecided as to whether to advance or retreat, you can frighten them into a rout. When the soldiers of an enemy army despise their commanders and think of defecting, you should block the normal accessible roads and leave the steep passes open. In this way, you can lead the enemy into the passes and destroy them. In an area where it is easier to advance than retreat, the enemy can be drawn in. In places where it is difficult to advance and easier to retreat, the enemy can be pursued. When an enemy army is in a low-lying, wetland position with no way for the water to drain away and there is heavy rain, you should drown them by flooding the area. If your enemy is camped in a wasteland or bog where the grass is thick and secluded, then when the wind picks up, you can set a fire and burn the enemy to death. When the enemy has not moved for a while and their commanders and troops are off their guard, you can take advantage of their ill preparedness and launch a surprise attack. So I I find this interesting because it is about studying the enemy leadership, and that's important, right? But what I also find interesting is the use of the terrain, the wording, the verbiage of the terrain, and what we've read from Sun Tzu and about his use of terrain. And so this is just a little bit of a deeper dive into that. So let's go over to the Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman and see what April 23rd is all about. The mind is all yours. You have been formed of three parts, body, breath, and mind. Of these, the first two are yours insofar as they are only in your care. The third alone is truly yours. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations 12.3. The body can be ravaged by disease, or injured, or disabled in a sudden accident. It can be imprisoned or subjected to torture. The breath can suddenly cease because our time has come, or because someone has taken it from us. Breathing can grow labored because of exertion or illness as well. But up until the very end, our mind is ours. It's not that the other two parts of life that Marcus mentions, our body and our breath, don't matter. They're just less ours than our mind. You wouldn't spend much time fixing up a house that you rent, would you? Our mind is ours, free and clear. Let's make sure we treat it right. Keep your mind sharp. I don't have much to add to that other than if you are not keeping your mind sharp and you are not keeping it yours and you are not protecting it, then you are that enemy general that the Wuzi is talking about, right? You are easily able to be manipulated or studied or tricked or whatever, because if you are easily done in by riches, like the one example, then your mind is not yours. It belongs to wealth. It belongs to money. It doesn't belong to you and what you value, right? So that's about all I can think from those. If you guys find any value in that, or if you see a correlation, make sure to drop your thoughts in the comments.